Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Lauren, and I am about to guide you through a Vinyasa flow yoga sequence where we're going to focus on our hips. We're going to move our hips in lots of different ways, some of which will have the potential to be really deep. So just listen to your body. Like always, things might be deep, intense, or new, but nothing should be painful, sharp, shooting, nothing like that. Okay, so for today's practice, I'm going to be using 2 blocks, but you probably won't need them necessarily. But if you've got them, keep them close by. And we're going to start seated. So just come to a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like, whatever that feels like, but just make yourself comfortable in a seated position. So allow yourself to sit however is comfortable. Let your legs relax. Connect your seat to the ground. Allow your tailbone and your pelvis to feel heavy, rooted and connected to the earth. The length in the spine. Sit up as tall as you can sit. Reach up through the crown of the head up to the sky. Let the shoulders relax. Fall away from the ears as the arms rest and the hands just rest wherever is comfortable. And as you're lifting your chest and reaching up through the crown of the head, softening shoulders, soften the muscles of your face. Relax the throat, the jaw, your eyebrows, your forehead. Notice your breath. Create a connection to your breath. Really feel your breath. And you can stay right here. Breathing naturally, breathing organically, and just feeling your breath. Or maybe start to build some heat and move into the ujjayi breath, creating a slight restriction in the back of the throat so that the exhalation is an audible breath out. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So it's the same restriction in the back of the throat that we do when we whisper. So if you can whisper, you can do the ujjayi breath. And maybe if the ujjayi breath is new for you, you do this with an open mouth exhalation, almost like you're trying to fog up a mirror right in front of your face. But if you're familiar with this pranayama, maybe you do this with a closed mouth exhalation, but there should still be a sound. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathing in through the nose, out with the ujjayi breath. We'll stay here for a little longer. Continue at your own pace, building heat, building fire, creating warmth, building energy in the throat with the ujjayi breath, the victorious breath. Continue with this breathing pattern for 3 more breaths. And then return back to your natural breath. And now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, palms together, thumbs softly resting on the collarbones. If it feels right for you in this moment, you're welcome to set an intention for your practice, asking yourself what brought you to your mat. Think of a positive word or phrase. Silently and slowly repeat that intention. And draw your chin in towards your chest, bowing reverently at your intention. And slowly start to flutter your eyes open, looking down at your fingertips. You can release your hands and slowly lift your head. Okay. All right, we're going to stay seated for a little bit longer so you can stay right where you're at, but you know that my suggestion is that if you're sitting cross-legged or in any asymmetrical position, change the cross of your legs. So take the same pose, but just the opposite leg in front or on top or what have you. Okay, come to a comfortable seated position. Lengthen up through the crown of the head, soften the shoulders. Let's move the spine. Inhale, draw the belly forward, lift the chest, lift the heart, look up. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs back, chin to the chest, look down, move with your breath. Inhale into the seated back bend, pulling the heart forward. Exhale into the seated forward bend, letting the chin draw in towards the chest, expand the back of the neck even. Inhale into this chest opener. Exhale into the forward bend. Let's do just one more of each. We don't have to do too many here. Keep the shoulders relaxed, arms soft. And continue to keep the shoulders relaxed and arms soft as we sit up tall. Lengthen up through the crown of the head and inhale, circle the arms up. Fingertips reach up. With that exhale, bring the right hand down, sweep the left fingertips over, reach and stretch. Inhale to the center. Exhale, take the side stretch. So remember that when we do this movement, we're moving from the waist up. So keep your hips and your legs fairly still. Keep your sit bones grounded on whatever it is you're sitting on. And we want to make sure we're not coming too far forward or too far back. Really think about just going directly to the side, not forward or back, just right over to the side. Shoulders relaxed, throat, neck, and jaw soft. Let's do just one more each side. And try not to drop the arm too close by the ear. If there's some space between your ear and arm, keep it there when you're tipping over, because again, we're just moving at the waist. All right, and then inhale, return back to the center, lengthen up, and then drop the arms. Take a twist as you turn to the right. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, drop the arms, twist to the left. And a few more just like this with your breath. Inhale, lengthen and reach. Exhale, rotate and twist. Inhale, grow tall, grow long. Exhale, rotate, take the twist. Just a few more here. Now again, even when the arms are up overhead, relax the shoulders, keep some space between your ears and your arm. Sitting up tall, even when you're rotating, even when you're twisting, you're still lifting up through the crown of the head and the heart. Let's do just one more each side. I always throw a few extra of these in because I really like these. I think twisting is my personal favorite. All right, now next time you come back to the center, inhale, lengthen up one last time. Really reach, sit up, lengthen, grow tall, and exhale. Let the arms come down. Let's come to tabletop. We're going to be kneeling for just a little bit. If you want a little bit more cushion under your knees, you're always welcome to have it. But set yourself up in tabletop. Now, traditionally in tabletop, hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. But here, let's bring the knees and the feet together. So you're sort of on 3 points instead of 4. Okay. Now, like always, the longer we're here, the more you're going to be tempted to sag your ribs to the floor. So keep the spine in neutral, pelvis in neutral, crown of the head forward, tailbone back. Pick up the right leg and reach the right leg back. Push through the heel, toes point down. So almost like we're going to do spinal balance, but we're going to keep both hands firmly planted on the ground. Just reach the right heel back, crown of the head forward, lengthen the spine, level out your pelvis. Everything's in neutral. Ribs are not sagging. Lift up and out of the armpits. And then bend your right knee so the heel comes in towards the back of the thigh. And let's trace some really big circles with this right kneecap. So it's like your right kneecap is tracing really large circles. Now, as you do this, keep everything else still. Try not to let your torso wiggle and sway. The more it does that, the less your hip is stretching. So when you're ready, reverse the directions of the circles. Again, like your kneecap is tracing really large circles, but can you keep everything else still? Can you keep your torso still? Can you keep that left leg still? Stay for just one more moment. And then we're going to lengthen that right leg one more time. Push through the heel, toes will point down. Level out the hips. Instead of hiking the right hip to the sky, can you even everything out? Lift the ribs, lengthen the spine. And then we're going to bring the right foot over to the left. So it's going to cross over. It's going to come off your mat onto the floor, the carpet, whatever. Reach the crown of your head forward. Inhale. Exhale as you look over your left shoulder like you're looking towards that foot. So from up overhead, from an aerial view, from a bird's eye view, excuse me, your spine looks like the letter C. And that's what we want. So look over the left shoulder, look towards that right foot, and really grow long on the right side of the spine. Let's stay for a breath. And then inhale, lift that right leg up, push back through the heel, inhale. Exhale, let the right knee come back down. Give yourself a moment if you want to let the hips wiggle, roll out the wrists, just another breath or two. Okay. All right, same thing, second side. So starting in sort of a tabletop, hands under shoulders, but feet and knees together. Lengthen out the spine and lengthen the left leg back. Push through the heel, toes point down. So from the crown of your head to that left heel, you're a straight line. We want to make sure you're not in a back bend. That's often the tendency. So heel back, crown of the head forward, push the hands down, lengthen the spine, level out the pelvis. And then bend the left knee so that the heel comes in towards the back of the thigh, keeping the rest of the body still. Let's trace some circles with that left kneecap. So make really large circles. Just pick one direction. Make really large circles here. Again, that knee is really making large circles so you feel it through the hip, but you're keeping your spine, your ribs, your torso all still. And then when you're ready, reverse the direction of the circle. Smooth, fluid circles. Maintain stillness through the torso. One more moment. And then lengthen the left leg again. Push the heel back. Crown of the head forward. Lift the ribs. Tuck the tailbone just a little bit. Even out the hips. And then we're going to bring the left leg over to the right. So it's going to cross over the other leg. It's going to come down onto the mat. Hook the toes under. Reach the heel back and look over your right shoulder. So now you're looking at that left foot over your right shoulder. So again, from up overhead, from a bird's eye view, your spine looks like the letter C. That's what we want. We want to lengthen the left side. So push the hands down, look over the right shoulder, Feel length in the left side. One more breath. And then inhale, slowly lift that left leg up. Push the bottom of the foot back towards the wall behind you. Inhale. Exhale, let that knee come down and take a few moments. Wiggle the hips, roll the wrists, whatever you got to do. Okay. All right. So if you had any padding under your knees, you can get rid of it now. And let's set up in a traditional tabletop. And from a traditional tabletop, walk the hands one whole handprint closer to the top of the mat. Hook the toes under. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a few moments, take a few breaths. Do what you got to do here. Say hello to this pose in your body today. Let's take 3 more breaths here. All right. Now from downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward by your thumbs, and exhale, take baby steps, walking forward, little tiny steps, walking forward. So you come into forward fold Uttanasana. Feet hip distance apart. Let the upper body just surrender to gravity. Maybe you add some movement. Explore the pose, just like down dog. Say hello to this pose in your body today. Let's stay in forward fold. 3 more breaths. All right. Now from forward fold, inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine, crown of the head forward, tailbone back. Exhale, fold forward. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Circle the arms. Maybe add a bit of a back bend. Looking up, bring the hands to the heart. Take a deep breath, Tadasana, mountain pose. All right. So now we're going to move at the pace of the breath. So like always, if you're a step or two behind my cueing or whatever, you're moving at your breath, you're moving at your pace, you're doing what your body needs, and that is wonderful. So take a Tadasana. Arms can be wherever they like, but ground through the heels. You can wiggle your toes. Your weight's back in your heels, so you feel the tops of your thighs engage. Your legs should be active in mountain pose. You're rooting down through the feet, strengthening the legs, lengthening the spine, softening the shoulders. Take a breath. All right, inhale, circle the arms, maybe even look up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Push the heels down, inhale, rise all the way up, circle the arms. We're gonna do 2 more like that. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold into Uttanasana. Inhale, rise all the way up. Push the heels down. Make sure the legs are doing the work, not the back. Lifting up, Urdhva Hastasana. 1 more. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Push the heels down. Make the legs do the work as you lift your chest. And then exhale, fold forward. Let's come to Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back and drop the right knee down to the ground. Bring your hands to the top of the left thigh. Lift your torso. Now, anytime you come up here, whether the back knee is down on the ground or not, if you feel wobbly, the front foot can always go over towards that pinky toe side. Okay, We're going to lift the arms up as you inhale, tuck the tailbone. When we take these lunges here, we're not going to be here long, but I want you to feel it through the hip flexor. Start to get the hips involved. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands down. Downward facing dog. Hook the back toes under, lift the knee. Step back, down dog. Take your time. All right, from downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, spread the fingers. Inhale, shift forward, plank pose, like the top part of a push-up. Now you can stay here, you can drop to your knees. What I often like to do, especially towards the beginning of a practice, is be in a full plank, but then when it comes time to lower down, I drop to my knees because it's a lot on the shoulders, but listen to your body, take a breath. Spreading the fingers, pushing the hands down, and then inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Maybe drop to the knees first, but lower down. Tops of the feet down on the ground. Inhale, rise, take your back bend, lift your chest. Exhale, lower the chest. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. From down dog, pick up the right foot. Reach the right heel up and back. Inhale. Exhale, draw the right knee into your belly. Quietly place your right foot in between the hands. Take as many steps as you need to get it there. And then drop the left knee down to the ground. Bring the hands to the top of the right thigh. Lift the torso. Again, get into the hip flexor. Know that you can always widen the stance. Tuck the tailbone. Let the arms float up. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands down. Step forward. Forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale. Lift up halfway. Lengthen the spine. Exhale. Fold forward. Inhale. Rise up. Push the heels down. Lift the chest. Urdhva Hastasana. Again, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back. Now this time, maybe you drop the back knee, maybe not. The first round we dropped the back knee. Maybe this time you keep it lifted. Either way, bend the right knee, bring the hands to the top of the right thigh, lift the torso, lift the chest. Tuck your tailbone, feel something in the front of your left hip, and maybe let the arms float up. Let the shoulders relax. Push down through the feet. Inhale. Exhale, down dog. Take your time. You're in no rush. Truly, you are in no rush. There's no hurry. From down dog, spread your fingers. Inhale, shift forward, plank pose. Now we're going to hold this for a few moments. Build that strength, build that power. Tuck the tailbone, point your belly button a little bit more at your face. Push the hands down, lift up and out of the armpits. Spread the fingers, push even the fingertips into the mat. Stay strong, stay focused. You got it. One more breath. And then inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Keep the elbows in tight as you lower. Use the strength of your upper body. Tops of the feet onto the ground. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, lower the chest. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, pick up the left foot. Reach the left heel up and back. Inhale. Exhale, draw the left knee in towards your belly. Quietly and softly place the left foot in between your hands. Maybe you drop the right knee down to the mat. Maybe not. But bend the left knee. Bring your hands to the top of the left thigh. Lift the torso. Find stability. Tuck the tailbone. Feel something in the front of your right hip. And maybe let the arms float up. Soften the shoulders. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Bring the hands down. Step forward, forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Now we're going to do a few rounds of Surya Namaskar A. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step to plank. Notice which foot you lead with. Next round, I want you to do the opposite. So in a traditional plank, maybe you're on your knees, maybe you're on your toes, but stay strong. Stay focused, stay engaged, stay present. In these moments where our muscles work really hard, sometimes we sort of check out. Notice how strong you are. Don't check out. Notice how hard you're working, how capable you are. One more breath. And then inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, take your back bend. Exhale, lower the chest. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. We stay for a few breaths. So take a few breaths, check in. One more breath. All right, deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Push the heels down. Sweep the arms out. Up. Lift. Let's do two more. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, plank pose. Lead with the opposite foot. This time, okay, plank. Again, you know you can drop to your knees. You can stay on your toes. If you're on your toes, bringing your feet together is going to be a little bit harder. So maybe you have them hip distance. That's fine too, but not mat distance. All right, heels back, crown of the head forward, tuck the tailbone, push the hands down, lift the chest, stay strong, focused, present. One more breath. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Keep the elbows in tight. All the way down into the belly. Inhale, rise. Take your back bend. Exhale, lower the chest. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, down dog. A few breaths here. Take this time to check in. One more breath here. All right. Deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise. Circle the arms. Lift the chest. One last sun salutation. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, plank. Get there how you need to, and this could be your last plank if you want it to be, so make it a good one. Make it count. Make each and every moment that you are here count. Don't let your lower back sag. We want the front side of the body to do the work, not the back, not the throat, not the jaw, not the neck, not the lower back. Front side of the body working hard, contracting, engaging. One more moment here. You can stay with it. You are powerful. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, lower. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, downward dog. Take a few breaths. One more breath. Deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump. Forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Push the heels down. Circle the arms. Lift the chest. Lift the heart. Look up. Let's do standing poses. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back, all the way back. Take a long stance. Pivot the right foot. Ground the heel. Right toes are pointing towards the right long edge of your mat. Deeply bend the left knee. Bring your hands to the top of the left thigh to help lift the torso. And cartwheel the arms around. Come into Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. Now we're going to open the hip by drawing the knee forward and over towards its respective pinky toe. So forward allows the top of the thigh to work, over to the pinky toe opens the hip. Now keep grounding through that back heel and the back pinky toe side of the foot. You might feel something through the front of your right hip. But left knee forward, crown of the head up, arms out, shoulders relaxed. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. All right, keep the legs as they are. Inhale, reach forward, and exhale, Parsvakonasana. Bend the left elbow, let the forearm rest on the top of the thigh. Fingertips can reach up, directly up, maybe at a diagonal, or maybe listening to the front of your right shoulder. Maybe you take the half line and the back of your hand comes towards your lower back. Okay, now listening to your left hip, if you're looking for a deeper stretch in the left hip and inner thigh, maybe the left hand comes down to a block or right onto the mat to the inside or to the outside of that left foot. But whatever you're doing with your right shoulder, whatever you're doing with your right arm, draw the right shoulder back. Instead of drawing your heart to the floor, can you draw it up to the sky? And look wherever feels best in your neck. Keep deeply bending the left knee. Draw that left knee forward as you draw the right heel and that right pinky toe down and back. One more breath. Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. All right. Now firmly push through both heels and inhale, return back to Warrior Two, arms outstretched. We're going to bring the right hand to the right hip. We're going to take a balance pose. So look down at the floor. It's something that won't move. And you might place your left hand on a block. It might come right on onto the ground, but start to walk the right foot forward, come up onto the tip of your right big toe, and then allow the right leg to float up as the left hand plants down onto something. Now with your right hand at your right hip, draw your right hip back, point your belly button to the side of the room as opposed to the floor. We want the hips open. This is a hip opener. So really push that left heel down as you allow that right leg to lift, and then maybe the right hand comes up. Maybe you look up. Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon pose. 2 more breaths. Balancing in some capacity here. And then deeply bend the left knee. Let the right foot touch down towards the back of the mat. Return back to Warrior Two, even if it's not a graceful transition. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the arms. Step back, downward facing dog. 3 to 5 breaths before we do that on the second side. Your call. What you need to do between them. Listen to your body. Take some deep breaths. All right, one more breath. And then come into downward facing dog. And from down dog, deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Forward fold Uttanasana. Right from here, inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back, step it all the way back, pivot the foot, ground the heel, left toes point to the left side of the room. Deeply bend the right knee, bring your hands to the top of the right thigh, lift the torso, cartwheel the arms, warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Now again, the right knee is going to deeply bend the top of the thigh. We want it to work, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it. So draw the knee forward and the knee over towards its pinky toe so that you feel it through the inner thigh. And then that left heel and the left pinky toe is pushing down and back. You might feel something through the left sort of hip flexor. Pushing down through the heels, rooting, grounding, really creating a firm, strong base so that you can reach out, you can lift up, you can radiate out in the upper body. 3 more breaths. Warrior two. All right, keep the legs as they are. Reach forward with your right fingertips and then bend the right elbow. Forearm rests on the top of the thigh. Left arm can reach up, directly up towards the sky, or the left arm can come in along by the ear, sort of making a diagonal line, or take the half bind. Now listen to the left shoulder, but maybe the back of your hand comes by your lower back. Listen to the right hip. Maybe your right hand comes down to the inside or the outside of the foot, maybe to a block, maybe to the mat. But you're bending your right knee forward. Don't lose that bend. Don't lose the lunge. The top of the right thigh should be feeling it. And then draw the left shoulder back. No matter what you're doing with the left arm, draw the left shoulder back. Turn your heart to the sky. Push the right hand down or right forearm down. 2 more deep breaths here. Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. Okay. And then push down through the heels. Inhale, slowly rise. Return back to warrior two. We're taking a balance pose. Back hand comes to the hip. Look down at something that won't move. The right hand might need to come to a block. So you might need to make those arrangements, but start to walk the back foot in, come to the tip of the left big toe. And then as you allow the torso to lower, the right hand comes down onto something as the left leg lifts up and floats. Push back through the heel. The left toes will point over to the left side of the room. Push the right heel down, and with the left hand at the left hip, draw the left hip open. Point your belly button to the side of the room, not the mat. And then maybe the left arm lifts and floats, but continue turning your heart to the side, not the floor. Ardha Chandrasana, just keep pushing that right heel down, allowing that left leg to lift and float any amount. 2 more breaths. Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon pose. And then slowly bend the right knee. Let the left foot touch down towards the back of the mat. Return back to warrior two. Again, even if it takes a bit and it's clunky, we get there eventually. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel the arms, downward facing dog, 3 to 5 breaths. Transition, move, be where you want to be. Take 1 more breath. All right, and then let's come into tabletop. We're going to meet in tabletop, and just like before, we're going to be kneeling for a little bit, so maybe you put a little cushion under your knees, and I would grab onto your blocks. All right, so here's where we're going to take some deeper hip stretches. You are in control of every single one of them. You can make them more mild or more intense in accordance to with what you need. So please remember that. Hip stretches, I think, are probably one of the top category of poses where people get really overzealous. It's one of the most requested categories, hip openers. People always say hip openers, hip openers. And then when we do them, people kind of go a little too deep. I look out of the room and people are making these faces like, I'm like, no. So listen to your body. You can make it more or less intense if needed. All right. So I like to start right away with my hands on the blocks on at least the medium height. And let's step the left foot forward in between the blocks. We're going to come back into the hip flexors. So maybe widen out your base a little bit so each foot is in its own lane of traffic. Push down into the ground, tuck the tailbone a little bit like you're pointing your belly button at your face. Now you might not feel enough here, so you might raise the height of the blocks. And actually, I think I feel enough here, but if you still need more, you can bring your hands to the top of the thigh. Okay, but what I want for you is to feel something in the front of your right hip. So whether your hands are low or high, or you're leaning forward or whatever it looks like, I want you to feel something, a comfortable stretch in the front of your right hip. So things to think about is tucking the tailbone, create wrinkles in the front of your shirt by your belly button. And draw your right hip bone forward and your left hip bone back. Let's stay for 3 more breaths. Okay. All right. So now from wherever you're at, you're going to bring your hands onto the blocks, allow your hips to come back. Pick up your left hand in your left block. Walk your left foot to the left edge of your mat. So it's like the pinky toe is along the edge of the mat. And bring that left hand and that left block back down. So now hands are back under the shoulders. Your hands shouldn't be side by side over to the right. Hands are still each under the shoulders like they just were a moment ago. But now your left arm and your left leg are sort of grazing against each other, sort of making contact with one another. All right, so a few things. We're going to shift the focus from the front of the right hip to the inner part of the left hip. Now, what I want you to think about is still tucking the tailbone just a little bit. I'm okay with you untucking the tailbone, letting the belly button point down towards the floor if it feels good in your lower back. Oftentimes that doesn't feel good in the lower back. So then you just got to lift up and out just a little bit. So I guess what I'm trying to say is throughout this, if you start to think, my lower back, tuck your tailbone. Okay. So you could stay right here. I'm going to maintain a tuck of my tailbone. I guess that's the other thing I'm trying to say. Just because I am lifting up and out of my tailbone and lifting up and out of my lower back doesn't mean you have to. It's just what feels good in my lower back. Okay. So you could stay here, just like this. Pushing down into the ground, lifting, reaching, lengthening, just right here. Maybe you draw your left toes over to the left to about a 45-degree angle, and you allow the left leg to fall away from the left arm. Then you'll feel more in the inner thigh. Think about, we're sort of doing like half of butterfly pose, right? It's almost like half a butterfly, or this is almost sort of like happy baby. So notice how it feels. If you like it here, you can stay here. If you would like a little bit more sensation, you can lower your chest. Now, the lower you drop your chest to the floor, the more you will feel. So maybe that just means lowering the height of the block. Maybe that means getting rid of the blocks, placing your hands just down onto the mat. Maybe that means placing your forearms down on the blocks, or maybe that means placing your forearms down onto the mat. Now, again, you do what works for you. I'm going to do what works for me. And then keep checking in with the lower back. It's okay if your belly button points down towards the mat, as long as your lower back is fine with it. So find a position that feels good, where your hips don't really feel like they have to work too much, that you can relax into the stretch. You feel a comfortable sensation throughout the hips and the thighs. And stay for 3 more breaths. All right, now if you're on your forearms, come on back up to your hands. And if you lowered the heights of the blocks or got rid of the blocks, grab onto them again, lift them up, and then plant that left foot down onto the ground. And then you can let the hips slide back, let that left leg slide back. Just come to tabletop. Take some time, move around. So sometimes Vinyasa classes are structured to where it's constant movement. That's obviously not really how I sequence and how I teach a Vinyasa class, but we are building up to deeper, more intense movements of the hip. So we're not going to be moving very much, but all of these things, again, have the potential to be kind of deep. All right. So when you're ready, come on back. Again, I like to start with the blocks up pretty high and step the right foot forward. In between the blocks, make sure each foot is in its own lane of traffic. You're pushing down into the ground to lift your hips and tuck the tailbone. So here it's sort of non-negotiable to tuck the tailbone. The whole point is to lengthen the hip flexor, and so tucking the tailbone here. So maybe you sort of allow your hips to come forward a little bit. Maybe that means bringing your hands up, or maybe you take some sort of upper body stretch. You're welcome to sort of improvise. But again, here to maintain this stretch, tuck the tailbone, create wrinkles in the front of your shirt, and then think about drawing your left hip forward, your right hip back. If your belly button was a laser pointer, it would be pointing right forward, not over to the left a little bit, right forward. Let's stay for 3 breaths. All right. And now we're going to grab on with our right hand, grab onto that right block, pick it up, walk the right foot over to the right edge of the mat. So pinky toe sort of laying on the edge of the mat. Right hand and right block comes down under the right shoulder. So again, they're not both over here to the left. They're each placed under the shoulder just like before. Okay, so then we bend back into that right knee. You might feel a little something in your left hip flexor. That's okay. Now, option 1, just stay here. Right arm, right leg, making contact with one another, just like this. But maybe right toes dial out to about a 45-degree angle, and you let the right knee fall away from the right arm. Notice how it feels. Now, this one, the lower you drop your torso, the lower you drop your chest, the more you'll feel. So maybe you just lower the heights of the blocks. Maybe you get rid of the blocks. Maybe you drop forearms down onto blocks or forearms down onto the mat. But to come into something that feels sustainable, something that you can comfortably sustain and stay in without seriously needing to fidget and wiggle for several moments. Maybe that requires tucking your tailbone, maybe it doesn't. Again, just keep listening to your lower back. Let's take 3 more breaths here. All right, if you're on your forearms, come on back up to your hands. And if you got rid of the blocks or lowered the blocks, grab onto them. Draw that left knee in towards the left arm, slide that right leg back, excuse me. I keep bouncing between thinking I'm mirroring you and then realizing I'm not mirroring you. So my right and my lefts were a little off there, sorry. But just coming back, again, same thing. Take some movements that just feel good. Okay. So thinking of taking what feels good. Here's where I'm about to give you a bunch of options and you choose the one or two that you like. It just depends on how much work you are interested in doing right now. So again, just because you chose a vinyasa class doesn't mean you want to really work super duper hard. And I know that is the case. So I'm going to give you lots of options. They all require different amounts of work and different stretches in the hips. So you could certainly come back to something we've already done. Okay, so starting with sort of less work, building up from there, you could take Malasana. Now, Malasana is not necessarily a whole lot of work, but it's not necessarily comfortable for everybody. So you could take a supported Malasana. But either way, I don't really care how you get into any of these poses. Well, I do, but you can just do what you need to do. So Malasana here is this deep yogic squat. We usually start with the feet about mat distance apart with the toes turned out. So feet sort of look like the letter V. You can sit on a block. You can sit on a stack of blocks. Whatever you need to do to just allow the hips to open. Maybe you draw the arms in and you open the hips that way. Maybe you take a bind. I probably wouldn't do this with the support, but maybe you take a bind. One arm comes forward around the shin. One arm comes back. You can take lots of different things right here in Malasana. Maybe you crawl your fingers in different directions. All sorts of stuff. Okay. Now, if you're looking for more work from this position, arm balance. Obvious arm balance from here, crow pose, knees or shins into the armpits or triceps. Oops, I almost fell forward, but I didn't. I trusted myself. I got it. Okay, so arm balance there, Malasana. Now I still have two more options. Okay, one option is lots of work. One option is almost no work. Pigeon or flying pigeon. So I'm just going to give you a bunch of time and I'll sort of let you know when to switch if you're taking pigeon. But pigeon usually from either tabletop or down dog, we draw the knee to the outside of the wrist. Crawl that foot closer. So the hope is that your shin becomes sort of parallel to the top of your mat, but it won't become perfectly parallel. It will not, it will not, it will not. That's okay. And then allow the hips to remain level, but lower. And just like before, the more you lower your chest, the more you feel. So you do what feels good. So you've got pigeon, you've got Malasana, you've got an arm balance. And now again, let's kind of combine two of those. Your fourth and final option is flying pigeon. So an arm balance version of pigeon, which I like to start from sort of a figure four chair. So from more or less a chair position, take figure four, hands come down, 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 hook the triceps to the shin. You're in figure four, and then you allow the back leg to slowly lengthen, and then you're in flying pigeon. Oh, so that's an awful lot of work. So you've got pigeon, flying pigeon, the deep squat Malasana, and I gave you another option. I already forgot what it was. Oh, just a regular arm balance. Okay, so starting now, I'm going to let you know when it's been time to switch from one side to the next if you're doing something asymmetrical. So just take something that feels good. Again, whether it's work or rest, something that feels good for your hips, something that sort of remotely targets your hips. And then again, checking in, do you want to work a lot, a little, not at all? There's no right or wrong answer. You do what feels good in the moment. Take about 5 more breaths where you're at. And if you're doing something asymmetrical, go ahead and switch sides. Start to bring attention to that other side. Or if you're doing something symmetrical, just stay with it. Take about 5 more breaths right where you're at. And then you can slowly come out of whatever you're in. And we are going to meet on our back. We are in no rush. So you take your time. If you want to take a child's pose for a few breaths and then meet us on our back, meet with us on our backs. Yeah. Roll stuff out, wiggle. Whatever, take your time. Give yourself 3 more breaths. All right. Okay, let's come on down into the back. I always like to support my head. Okay, let's take some more passive hip openers and hip stretches. So from here, let's cross the right leg over the left, like you would if you were sitting in a chair. So we're not taking figure 4. This is where our thighs are together. There's no space, no gap between the thighs. All right, so inhale. Exhale, hug the thighs into the belly. Now you're welcome to just hold on to the backs of your thighs, but what we really want is if you can place your left hand on your right shin or ankle or foot and sort of draw it in like you're drawing your right ankle towards your left hip, you'll feel a stretch in the outer part of the right thigh and the right hip. That's what we want. So maybe you just hold it here. Maybe you can grab onto both ankles, both feet. But especially, again, using that left hand to your right ankle or foot or shin. Draw it down so you feel something in the outer part of the right thigh and hip. Now relax your shoulders. This is meant to be passive. So your arms are ever so slightly tugging on your legs, but soften the upper body as much as you can. 3 more breaths here. All right, now keep your legs crossed, but let the left foot come back down onto the ground. Release your hands. Keep the right leg crossed on top of the left. Just let the left foot come back down. All right, we're going to scoot the hips a few inches over to the right. I pointed the wrong direction first. Scoot your hips over to the right. Let your legs fall to the left. So it's like your belly button is now pointing over to the left side of the room, but make sure your right shoulder is down on the mat. Now, again, you should still be feeling something through the outer part of the hip and thigh. You might keep the right knee bent, or you might lengthen the right leg, almost like your right toes are reaching for your left shoulder. It's up to you, but again, we want your right shoulder down on the ground. Maybe the arms come out in opposite directions. Maybe you turn and look over your right shoulder. But take a comfortable twist, something that feels good, not just for the spine, but also for the hips and thighs and legs. Relax into it. Stay for 3 more breaths. If your head is turned, slowly return your head back to the center. Do the same with your legs. Return your legs back to the center, uncross your legs, recenter your hips, bring everything back to neutral. Take a few deep breaths. All right. Now let's cross the left leg over the right. Again, like you're sitting in a chair, thighs together, no space, no gap between the thighs. Inhale. Exhale, hug the thighs in. Now you could hold on to the backs of the thighs, but I don't think you'll really get that stretch. So the left hand might just hold on to the back of the thighs, but use your right hand onto your left foot, ankle, shin, and try to draw it down towards the floor, like you're reaching your left ankle for your right hip. And maybe the left hand grabs onto the right foot as well, but that's less important. Be able to stretch through the left leg. And now, no matter what you're doing with your arms, relax your shoulders. Soften the chest, the throat, neck, and jaw. Relax the muscles of your face. Feel a sensation, a stretch, a lengthening that feels good, that feels comfortable. Three more breaths here. All right, now keep your legs crossed, but just let the right foot come back down. So release the arms, let the arms come out in opposite directions. Left leg still crossed over the right, right one on the ground. Scoot the hips a few inches over to the left. Let the legs fall to the right. You might keep the left knee bent. You might lengthen your left leg like your left toes are reaching for your right hand or your right shoulder. like your belly button is pointing over to the right side, but your left shoulder is down on the ground. Make sure that that left shoulder is supported. And you might turn and look over your left shoulder. Allow yourself to soften. Three more breaths. If your head is turned, slowly return it to the center. Slowly return your legs, uncross your legs, recenter your hips. Come back to the center. Inhale. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest. And you can stay right here, or maybe one more hip opener. You take happy baby. But just take a few moments, a few breaths, being somewhere that feels good. Keeping in mind that Shavasana is around the corner. So we want to keep the energy very soft, very gentle. And then settle into your Shavasana. Whatever that means for you. Find a place of real rest. Not light rest, not just superficial rest. Everything can rest. So let the toes and the feet relax. Soften ankles, shins, and calves. Release tension from the knees, the thighs, and from the hips. Soften the glutes, the pelvis. Release tension from the lower back, mid back, and upper back. Relax the shoulders, upper arms, elbows, and forearms. Relax the wrists, hands, and fingers. Relax the chest, throat, neck, jaw. Release tension in the cheeks and tongue, lips and nose, eyes, eyebrows, forehead. Relax your scalp, soften your brain. Allow every bit of you to be relaxed, released, and gentle. Slowly deepen your breath. Invite deep breaths into your lungs, into your torso. Invite big, deep breaths into your entire body. And then start to rock your head from side to side. Run your thumbs over the rest of your fingers as you wiggle your toes. Roll wrists and ankles. Move arms and legs. You can reach your arms overhead, stretching as if you just woke up from a long nap. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. And slowly roll over onto either side in a tucked fetal position. Keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground, come up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to thank yourself for making it to your mat today. And maybe reflect on your intention. Loka samasta suki no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. Now let's join the hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. To seal our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. You're welcome to join me or just listen. But the intention is that this mantra, the oldest and most sacred mantra, it unites all living things together. Again, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start by taking a deep and clearing breath. Inhale. Exhale at the mouth. Inhale. Exhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, this was a Vinyasa yoga practice where we focused on our hips. And my hope is that you are revisiting each sequence, each video more than once. And then next time you do it, you do a different option and just keep trying and exploring and trust yourself that you know your body, that you know your limits, that you will listen when you are met with your limits. And try new stuff out. Have fun, right? It's yoga. It should be fun. So thank you so much for joining me and have a wonderful day. Bye.